Hey there everybody, Waddles here. How is it going? I hope you're having a good day. In today's video will be a little different of a video. I'm going to be talking or addressing something that I see as a flaw in Minecraft. Little disclaimer, with all thoughts aside, I still love the game and think the game is a very good game, but just kind of my opinions here. So let me know what you think down in the comments below after hearing me out a bit. Maybe you think you can add something to it, or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments below. The footage of this video will be me clearing a woodland mansion, kind of just showing the thing off. They're kind of a little unknown in my opinion, and so that is the footage. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, leave a like, it really helps this video out, and maybe subscribe, that really helps me out. So without any more delay, let's get right into this video. The Totem of Undying, the face on a stick that will save you from dying. You get it from the evokers that spawn in the ever so rare woodland mansion. The Totem of Undying, the evokers, the illagers, the woodland mansion were all added in the 1.11 update on the Java edition, PC edition, whatever you would like to call it. So in theory, the Totem of Undying sounds like a very useful item, right? I mean, it'll stop you from dying when that skeleton shoots you from who knows where, or maybe the creeper dive bombs you from above, as long as you have it in your offhand or your on hand, but most likely your offhand. As long as you're holding it, it'll save you from dying. Sounds pretty useful, right? Well, not so much. I wouldn't blame you for not even really knowing what the Totem of Undying is, other than, like I said, green eyes on a stick or whatever it is. It is so rare to find that some people don't even know it's in the game. It is that rare and that small of an item when it could definitely be made to be a more consequential item very easily. The Totem of Undying needs a buff, needs an improvement somehow, or an easier way to get it. That is what I think, because this item in theory could be very useful, but having to go 15,000 blocks away in both the X and the Z coordinates to find one item to save your life one time, yeah, that doesn't sound very useful or worth it to me, when perhaps you get the item and then you die right away, possibly using it up or losing it and having to travel all the way back to the woodland mansion. I want to get into some ways that I think the developers could implement some easy changes to this item to improve it, make it a lot more useful for players, more specifically your newer players. This item will be very useful to a player who is new and not really an expert at the game yet, and tends to obviously die. The item won't ever really likely be of too much use to someone who doesn't care about dying that much, doesn't die that much, or just really is good at the game. But say in hardcore, this could be very useful if it was easier to obtain or perhaps reusable. A buff is basically an improvement, making something stronger. Like for example, the elytra with the rockets. First we had to shoot ourselves with a bow, and now we have rockets. Much easier to fly around, therefore sort of buffed. So how could we fix or buff the Totem of Undying? After a little bit of brainstorming and thinking, I came up with two main ways that we could improve this item, or the developers could improve this item, perhaps in a future update. So option one, to improve the Totem of Undying, an item that could be, again, very useful to newer players, is to make it easier to get. Like I said, woodland mansions are very rare and often spawn very far from where you spawn. They're a really cool addition to the game, but they are just so rare because of their massive size that a lot of people won't ever come across these structures. The totem right now is obtained through evokers. There's often 2 or 3 of them in these woodland mansions, but more importantly, an evoker. What is the evoker? he is a form of an illager. What is an illager? An illager is a bad villager. So it wouldn't be too far off to obtain the totem through a villager trade. Many fairly decent items are already obtained through villager trading, so it wouldn't be too far off to also obtain the Totem of Undying through a villager trade. Perhaps the cleric or the priest villager could have the Totem of Undying as one of his top tier trades, along with the XP bottle or bottle O enchantment, whatever the thing is called. Perhaps it could be obtained that way for a set amount of emeralds or a varying amount of emeralds, very similar to all other trades are right now, just simply adding it to the priest or the cleric, whichever you would like to call it. I feel like it would make the most sense on this villager, because why would a butcher have this magical thing? That makes no sense. Perhaps another way, a more unique way that this item could be obtained is through curing a zombie villager. So you probably know you can cure a zombie villager with a potion and a golden apple. That's all good. And then perhaps once this villager is cured, returned back to normal, no matter what, type of villager he is, perhaps a Totem of Undying is dropped on the ground whenever he turns right back. That could make a little sense as to where some of this apple power goes to, and I mean, doesn't hurt that they're both very similar colors, and you kind of just saved his life. You unkilled him, if you will. He was a zombie and now he's brought back to life, so it would make sense that maybe one of these things is dropped. So if either of these two ideas were implemented, the item is obviously way easier to get. You can get it earlier on, maybe way before your dragon fight, and have some of these for that dragon fight, which is sometimes pretty difficult, especially for new players fighting your dragon the first time. Usually not very fun at all, and this would be a nice thing to have for that fight. But say we don't want to make this item easier to get, you don't want to oversaturate it, make it way too easy to find. Perhaps we could make this item rechargeable or reusable. So obviously we can already heal items. You can take an anvil and fix up anything, and even powerful items can be fixed. Say the elytra, something very rare and very useful. You can repair it in an anvil with, I believe, leather. I think it takes a lot, but you can repair it with leather. So again, it wouldn't be too far out there to say, why not repair this item too? Perhaps the Totem of Undying could be healed or repaired with blaze rods in an anvil, just like you would repair anything else. Or again, more specifically, just like you repair an elytra. You throw the thing in an anvil, you throw blaze rod in the anvil as well, and heal it up with some levels. I say blaze rod because blaze rod is sort of a more out there, more fake, if you will, or a more fictional, if you will, item in general. So perhaps there's some sort of energy from these blaze rods that can fix the Totem of Undying and make it usable. You use it once, and then instead of disappearing, it goes back into your inventory but is useless until you repair it with blaze rod. Another reason I say blaze rod is, again, the color palette, very close, and two, you make an enchantment table with a blaze rod, so it already has some kind of weird mysticism to it, right? Another little more out there idea that I brainstormed up, similar to how you could obtain it from curing a zombie villager, maybe you recharge the Totem of Undying with a set amount of levels in an enchantment table. And doing it this way would simply add some variation to the game, which can at times seems repetitive and very much the same already. So if you throw this thing in an enchantment table, perhaps needing to be surrounded by bookshelves or something, and then we get a set amount of levels that it takes to recharge the thing, so you can use it over again and not have to go back again 30,000 blocks to find 2 more somewhere else in your world, eventually making a massive world file size. Now, if we were going to heal this thing or recharge it, if you will, with levels in the enchantment table, I would say a low amount of levels, something like 5 or 10 levels, because to me this item is aimed at someone who is newer in the game, like I've said a lot of times throughout this video. When I was making this video or working on this video, I decided to ask the Reddit Minecraft community what they thought of the Totem of Undying, just to see if I was, kind of feeling alone on this item. What seemed to be true of all of the responses that I got is that the item is not that useful, whether it be it doesn't save you from deaths like falling into the void, or it's, like I have been stressing, way too rare. You find it way too late in the game for it to be of any use to you, finding it after you fight the dragon often, and that is sort of one of the true biggest threats of dying in the game. So what I'm getting at is I think the Totem of Undying is a potentially very useful and cool item. More cool than something that deserves to just be showed off in an item frame and never used because it's so rare and hard to get. I think the Totem of Undying needs a buff. It needs to be easier to get somehow, or it needs to be reusable or rechargeable somehow, similar to other items in the game that are very, very powerful. Personally, I don't use the item because it's so rare, and once I find the item, I don't want to use it up. I would rather just display it because it's kind of an achievement to find the thing. But what do you think about the Totem of Undying? Do you not really care about it? Do you not really ever have a use for it? And I'm speaking from the point of view of a player who's been playing for a while, doesn't die a lot, and isn't too concerned about when I die, but perhaps if this item was easier to get, or reusable, I would consider keeping one of these in my inventory with me when I'm doing things that could warrant a death, like a caving trip or something like that. And what do you think about the video? What do you think about my thoughts? Do you have another idea of how this item could be improved and more useful in this game? What do you think? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, the footage, the commentary, all of it. Thank you very, very much for watching. And if you did enjoy this video, leave a like for me. And if you really liked it, subscribe for me. The Totem of Undying definitely needs a buff, and hopefully we can see some kind of improvement with it in the near future. But that is just what I think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. This has been Waddles. Goodbye.